When you think of a fan disc, what comes to mind? Maybe you imagine a bunch of if scenarios, alternate timelines of a story you'd already read. Maybe you think of short follow-ups to the roots in the original game. Maybe you dream of the cute side character getting her own story. In practice, fan discs are quite limited in their scope. They are a bit of extra content for dedicated fans, but what if we went a little bit different with it? Wouldn't it be interesting if a developer decided to ask the fans directly what they would want from a fan disc? Developed by Terios, Happy Princess isn't a popular game by any means, but it has its fans. Those fans are going to be important later, but let's start at the start. The selling point of Happy Princess? It's an Ojo-sama game. There are a bunch of pretty princesses from a foreign land that exists in another realm which no one on Earth has ever heard of. Whichever one of these princesses marries the protagonist will gain power, and that's the setup. By most regards, it's a generic, light, arrogant plot that, if not for the impressive voice cast, would be entirely forgettable. For those reasons, and many more, I'm not interested in Happy Princess. That's not the game we're talking about, but it was a game that fostered a dedicated community. And what's most important in this backstory is the existence of those fans. Why? Well, it all comes down to the dedicated Terios web broadcast, something the company had long been using to promote their works. Surprisingly, the broadcasts have all been archived, so I was able to step back in time and listen to the Terios of the 2000s. So, Terios ran an internet radio show, hosted by one of the Happy Princess voice actors, Ohana Don, plus mainstay actor in the company's games, Kaneda Mahiru. After Happy Princess's release, a new innocuous corner began to air, similar to the segment in which listeners could propose legislation towards making an ideal country. This new corner asked for viewers to write in with their ideas of the ideal woman, all for the hosts to react to. To briefly summarise those ideas, I'll cut a quote from the 30th episode of the broadcast. Tsundere twin-tail nisok setai ryoiki princess in poverty, and all kinds of ideas. In secret, however, those ideas were being used to create a new heroine to add into Happy Princess. This new heroine's behaviour, her manner of speaking, as well as everything else, would be determined by listener submissions. She's a fan character, designed by the collective fanbase, making this an Ojo-sama created by fans of an Ojo-sama game. In my head I hear that and I imagine a melting pot of Ojo-sama tropes. And so, Happy Princess Another Fairy Tale is a fan disc that, along with the usual spin-off stories you'd expect of a fan disc, includes a route for this radio-made character, Nikita Martemianov. Crazy name. The route begins where the common route of the original game ends. Tomoyuki, having spent his time alongside the various candidates, has grown complacent. So when the deadline to choose his partner finally arrives, the life he had been taking for granted comes into question, and so the big moment arrives. Emotional music plays as Tomoyuki considers the life-changing choice he's soon to make. Outwardly, he has been completely against this whole thing, and the girls aren't even sure if he intends to choose any of them. The suspense builds. He tries to speak up, and at that very moment, a shout cuts through the many emotions. Here to intrude on the established plot is the new girl Nikita. Then she trips over and ruins the moment even further. No one knows who she is, but she certainly thinks herself as a big enough deal to diss everyone for ruining her cool entrance. Voiced by the radio lady Kaneda Mahiru, Nikita is a rich, selfish tsundere. She's got blonde hair, partially tied up in twin tails. Her eyes are a sharp tsurime design. She's smug, a bit clumsy, a bit dumb. And as we've encountered many times in the past, this rich girl is poor. Heir to a kingdom which no longer exists, her family have pridefully refused help from anybody, and they are clinging on to their former glory in hopes of reviving their great kingdom. But as a result of all of that, Nikita is now left with nothing and no one. For that reason, she is more desperate to win this battle for the protagonist's affections than anyone, but she's also more of a disaster than anyone, and her desperation only makes her seem more pathetic. Plus, nobody was expecting her, so they wouldn't be able to accommodate her even if they wanted to. The most the others can do is acknowledge her competition entry and leave her to her own devices. Unfortunately for Nikita, she really has nothing going for her. But despite her late entrance, lack of support, and none of the housing arrangements that all of the other characters get, Nikita's determined to win this contest and use it to propel her forward towards world conquest. There's a lot to say about the character, it's hard to know where to begin. Every line of dialogue is delivered in quintessential tsundere manner, distilled into its purest form. For the Tsun, she doesn't hold back. Everyone is and there's a heavy helping of She responds with phrases like For Tere, Nikita's a hopeless klutz, with high expectations placed upon her. She's a loner whose one and only friend is a plushie, and if you happen to catch her when her guard is down, you'll see that she's a very meek, shy person.
でも、そっか、まだ決めてないのか。なら、私にもまだ可能性がゼロってわけじゃないのね。
In times of need, the two sides to a personality clash. The lonely girl who needs help, and the princess who must rule. She'll continue to boast and act arrogant while begging for help, growing angrier and more desperate each time you refuse. She's both Tsun and Dere, and giving up on either side would be giving up on herself. She is all of this, all the time. I was basically smiling every time she spoke. It's such a pure depiction of the trope. A trope that has, frankly, spent more time being subverted and parodied than established. You don't notice how rare it is to see these archetypal roles played straight until you start looking for sincere representations of them. Also, the voice actor's delivery reminds me a bit of Tosaka Rin from Fate, so if you're a Tosaka fan, maybe add this one to your reading list. You don't have to play the original, a decent amount of time is spent on recapping and re-establishing the cast and the setting. So, with nowhere to go and no one to rely on, Nikita plans to spend her first night in this world on the street. But being a beautiful lady, she of course attracts the attention of a couple sleazebags, the let's go and have some fun together kind. Our hero, worried about leaving Nikita without a place to stay, goes off looking for her, and stumbles into the scene just as Nikita breaks free from the Nampa nitwits. Then, after much arguing, Nikita winds up staying at Tomoyuki's house. From there, I'd say the hook of the route is twofold: daily interaction between the two characters, and uncovering the truth behind Nikita's situation. Is that a strong hook? Maybe for the right person, but I wouldn't be surprised if you don't find it exciting. It is, like a lot of stories about this archetype, a simple tale of learning to trust others, to ask someone an honest question, and to trust their answer as honest. This isn't anything new or groundbreaking, and it's not an ambitious work. At the end of the day, it's a single, linear route in a fan disc. The amount of sprites is very limited, there's a little flair to the presentation. The writing style is plain and straightforward, and the UI is... well, it looks like this when you open up a menu. But it has been more than a year since I began this search for a perfect representation of the rich, blonde tsundere archetype, and while I've found some good characters, none of them have been perfect. Don't get me wrong, I have loved getting to spend time with characters such as Sena Airi and Katori Rea. Every time I play a new game, I encounter a new tsundere who is slightly unique. Maybe they have immense empathy, like Kisaragi Mifuyu. Maybe they are manipulative, like the twins from Kissing. But none of them, if I can word this as a negative, have been tropey enough to truly be the perfect tsundere ojo. The potential Nikita held when I planned out which games to cover in c-pia over 2 years ago now was immense. A collection of tropes held together by a fanbase's sheer love. Still, reality rarely results in realised potential. Once I booted up the game, I got my answer surprisingly fast. It must have taken me a minute at the most to come to my conclusion, as Nikita loudly made her entrance, stepping all over the other girl's pride, using all of the classic phrases and poses illustrated in this beautiful art style and voiced by a seiyuu who completely understands the assignment. I mean, I'd found her. the perfect tsundere ojo-sama. 2 years ago, I really wasn't sure such a thing existed within the realm of adventure and novel games, but here she is. Whenever Nikita was on screen, I smiled. It's that simple. That means more to me than an ugly UI or a light plot. It sounds like such a basic thing, but it's nice to smile, don't you think? It represents so much. It's a feeling that some people wish for in the moments before they sleep. I hope that tomorrow will be happier. I'm always in search of these simple joys. Sometimes it lasts mere moments and sometimes it takes a couple of years, but it's a wonderful thing. I mean, I live to smile. So do you, and so you will. One day, maybe not at Nikita, maybe not at a tsundere, but regardless of your tastes, small things can bring each of us the greatest joys. Nikita is the manifestation of a small fanbase's greatest joy. It's fandisk content in its truest form, so if you want to create that joy in others, just ask the world what it loves, and trust in their reply. The lesson of this fandisk and the message of this route, they practically rhyme.